Welcome back to the 2013? Oh yeah, we know English. North American LCS Summer Promotion Tournament. Scar and Dignitas are up 1-0 after controlling the first game against Team Summon. But before we get into the Game 2, I'd like to welcome Curse's tenacious top laner, Voyboy. And first question, well, thank you for joining us first.
No, thank you for having me.
First statement. First question, what did you think about Scar's performance there? 11-1-12 at the end of the game going into the Nexus.
Scar obviously played phenomenally. Everything's on the line in this game. He just came out really strong. There was a few missteps early game where bot died to some really nice ganks actually by Sicko Scott, but Scar just picked up the pace. He picked Eve basically as a counter pick to Karthus, and I really thought that it was a great pick against Team Summon because they're a bit inexperienced. They obviously don't have as much land play and teamwork. They're fairly new. They have to replace two of their players, so they're not used to some of the more nuanced champions. Eve is a champion that until very recently, a lot of even top LCS teams haven't been accustomed to playing against. I remember when Scar whipped out the Eve against us, it was actually it was a curveball. We didn't expect it, and I thought it was a great pick against Team Summon because he was able to put a lot of pressure on the map. He actually, he accounted for his teammates' mistakes, and he actually bought pink wards to counter Captain Korea's pink wards that were designed to see where he was roaming, and he just went all over the map. He was making plays, and he really came out strong for his team.
So then, you said it was a little bit nuanced of a champion, and also that Eve is a counter to Karthus in lane. Do you want to explain why Eve is a counter to Karthus?
Yeah, sure. Eve is a champion that scales fairly well in comparison to Karthus. She has great AoE. Her late game is phenomenal. And then basically in a 1v1 matchup against Karthus, every time Karthus throws out that wall, Eve can just have her W, which instantly removes slows. So Karthus' main defensive tool is that wall. It's like a 70% slow max rank or something ridiculous like that. And Eve's one champion that with the press of a button can just continue pounding on him. And her 100 to 0 kill potential on Karthus is really, really good. So I thought it was a great pick.
So taking that into consideration, kind of still on that point, having that impact, is that something Team Summon is going to have to focus, or is there a way they can get around that without just having to ban Eve?
I thought that Team Summon actually started the game off fairly strong. They picked up a bunch of kills in lane. They were doing well. They got a bunch of double kills, and then they just started falling off as the game started dragging out, and Scar put pressure on the map. So not to say that Eve is the only champion that Scar can exert pressure with, but I definitely think if they're not used to playing against Eve, they don't know exactly how to place pink wards in the rivers to counter her roam, then that might be a likely ban from their side.
Okay.
All right, so in that case, Game 2 coming in, Dignitas now on the other side of the map. Who wins Game 2 and why?
I think that Dignitas probably will take it. They have momentum. They're feeling good. They've practiced hard for this. Team Summon, obviously, they've been trying really hard. They want to win. This is their moment to prove everyone that they can be a top LCS team. And I definitely think that they have the potential. You saw they made some really good plays. Sicko Scott was all over the map. They were in it. It was looking scary for Dig for a bit there. So I think if they can just refocus, not let the pressure get to them, and just keep their heads together, they might have a chance. But I think Dig definitely is in the driver's seat for this game.
All right, so momentum, the word here. See if Dig can keep it. We'll see if Team Summon can find it. Voyboy, thank you very much. We'll see you after Game 2. All right, everyone. So as we jump into our second match of the day, we are going to be looking to just the best of 5 series, right? We had 2 teams relegated already. It's going to be possibly Dignitas. They would be relegated, possibly a berth into the LCS for Team Summon, and it's been amazing. For us, it's an adrenaline drip is the way I put it yesterday.
These games just have so much passion, intensity, and story just weaved into them based on the format that we have here. Locust, former team member of Dignitas, really wanted to play these guys, and Dignitas were a powerhouse throughout the entire LCS season. It would almost be unthinkable for them not to make it back in this one. And after that first game, they're proving it.
That was really actually convincing. Towards the second half of that game, what you would say as mid-game, I was like, this is the Dignitas we saw before. When Crumbs left, the point you made in the beginning of the show, it really threw them off kilter, right? That was their calculator. He did all the summoner spells and whatnot. And having him back, Kobe said, that affects you for the next few weeks. And they finally found the way out of that rut.
Especially with the Nocturne pick is also a bit of a new champion. I want to see if Kiwi Kid breaks out anything else new because I'm really excited to actually see what he has prepared. He went at the start of the season from being one of the best top laners in all of North America to looking quite weak once he started playing some different champions late in the season. And that last game on Elise, even though he was in the 1v2, he was making some pretty good clutch plays and was really bullying Zach out a fair bit in late.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we come into this Champion Select now, I actually like what we see already. They say, you don't get Evelynn, Gragas, or Diana. We're going to force you to ban Ezreal.
And Dignitas, Skara, calling him out.
Getting a lot of love.
Calling him out. They want him to play a 4th different champion.
We'll see if he can do it. He's got that Katarina. He's got the Kale still. They haven't seen the Kale in quite some time from Dignitas. So.
No, we haven't. And I want to see if he has something even more to bring out, because it's like that's all of his champions. Even if you look at the things that Dignitas has banned, Skara can play Twisted Fate and Zed as well. So there's a bunch of targeted bans of Skara, which should give the rest of Dignitas freedom to pick pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah, it's really not let's composition around the assassination of my champion. Pick what you want, and then I'll kind of round it out when we can figure out what we're doing.
Obviously, the Karthus was picked off again by Team Summon. That didn't work out for them too well after Dignitas really got going in that game, because Dignitas's roam and actually, funny to say against Karthus, but global presence was higher than what Team Summon could come up with. And with the Nocturne picked in right away, I wonder if Dignitas is going to do something similar.
We'll see what it is. It's kind of funny to hear you say, going against global presence, but we've seen it, in the OGN and other leagues as well, that teams, if you can pressure enough, then you can bring the medicine right back to them.
And it kind of goes in waves as far as just the overall competitive scene goes. Sometimes the game is about power picks. Sometimes the game is about these, it's all about Caitlyn control or Ezreal control. And sometimes it's just about globals as far as the pick priorities go down to. And it seems like that might be the case in this matchup, as Dignitas is a global team when they're doing well. They're pushing all 3 lanes, and they want to fight wherever they want. So with those 2 picks, Nocturne and Shen, they're poised to do so again.
And they have a high tier pick and a high priority pick with that. So there is a lot of safety within those 2 grabs, and we see Nasus coming out for Sicko Scott here. Team Summon, and also locked in for Locust is the Sona, so that will not be in the hands of Patoy this time.
And Locust got to play Sona 2 days ago as well, and was really, really potent on it. Taking that away from Patoy is quite good. We've seen so many good Sona plays lately in these summer promotion qualifiers, so I want to see whether or not Locust can step it up again. I'm expecting Dignitas to pick probably Caitlyn again, just for I'm a Cutie Pie's lane control, and then from there, I'm really surprised and hoping to see what Scar ends up playing.
Patoy locking in, well, I should say Scar locking in that Zyra for Patoy, and we'll have to see what they are going to choose as Cutie Pie being Cutie Pie.
He loves swapping around. He really loves that new icon. I think a lot of people on Dignitas do as well. Scar's new Twitter handle is actually his face.
All of them.
Photoshopped. All of them.
Kids got it too.
Oh no. All of their faces are photoshopped into the Nunu recently on their Twitter handles, but it's just a happy-go-lucky Nunu guy.
Yeah, he is. Kobe was saying yesterday, he creeps him out. He's got that eye tweak going on. We'll see what Team Summon has for the last pick here, and then what Scaro will finally decide to round out Dignitas' composition with.
So Summon needs to pick a top laner and a standard AD, I'd have to think. If they went bold and actually picked like a top lane Nunu, it would be very aggressive, but probably wouldn't work against the Shen. The Varus is what I'm expecting to see from AD carry. And then I honestly don't know what they're doing top lane. They're still open for Zac again. They could still go for a hard initiate team, and this time they'd be able to combo it up with Nasus as well. But we'll just have to wait and see.
The Zed's gone. They have a Renekton, but they have a Rumble as well. We saw a ton of Rumble yesterday.
We saw all kinds of rumbling yesterday. Team fight after team fight. Renekton, though, with that pick, is something that Kiwi Kid had played in the past. Obviously, Shen has already been picked, so it was free. That is your standard safe top laner that Grim Samurai is going to be able to go with in a 1v2 or a straight-up matchup. So
they locked that down, so we could see the, the Renekton versus Shen matchup. But we'll switch over here to the Rise pickup from Skara. Been a while.
It's been a while, but that is another thing that Skara could just go back on. I mean, it's almost a little bit of return to the glory champions for Dignitas, because Skara has had a lot of success in the past on Rise. Able to survive early game and then get into late game with that. The whole Dignitas team will have the early presence with the Nocturne ultimates, and then this time if they transition into late game, they're going to have that Rise to be able to pound down on Team Summon. But you look at Team Summon, and they have the Bash brothers in Renekton and Nasus in those big-time team fights, plus the damage of Karthus. So the late-game team fight threat of Team Summon is super high once again. So I do think this could be another matchup of Dignitas trying to scatter around Team Summon, run them around, and avoid the big clashing team fights.
That would synergize well with Team Summon's objective control, too. They have the Nasus. They can go for dragons a lot earlier. So if you're running around with your head cut off, you're not going to be able to position for that fight.
It's going to be about who can take control, and I think Team Summon will put an extra amount of importance on the dragon fights. That's a very good reason why they would have picked Nasus over Volibear in this one, because even though they got some early ganks on Volibear, the overall game didn't work out for them with that. So the Nasus seems more for their team fight style that they were successful with on the first day of this promotion tournament.
We'll definitely have to see where the press R effect comes in, right? We have Karthus and 6 in mid, and Crumbs was a little less apparent in the lanes. He didn't show himself as much with his presence, and he farmed all the way up until 7 before we really first saw that gank in the bottom lane with a lane gank.
And we might see that again. I want to see as well if Dignitas decides to do lane swaps, or even if Summon decides to do lane swaps, because that actually allowed Crumbs to hit level 6/7
Super
earlier than he would have if he would have just sat in the jungle, and that was actually to the detriment of Team Summon. Plus, when you pick a Renekton, he can be very strong in the 1v1 lanes. So, what's going to happen?
All right, so we'll have to see what they choose to do. We are into Game 2, Rivington the third, and Jat bringing you this second matchup here in the best of 5. Dignitas winning Game 1 over Team Summon. It was a back-and-forth game for the first 10 minutes and then definitively pretty much taken by Dignitas from 15 minutes on. They look to win Game 2 with momentum. Team Summon looks to find that momentum now.
Yesterday in the best of 5 between Velocity and Marn, had to get that name, we saw a very back-and-forth affair. There we go, face-checking that brush a little bit, but they get the ward where they want it.
So as they do set up that human line of scrimmage across the top side for Team Summon, we're just going to see, like you said, that ward placed towards the Wraith. And they're kind of being less deep and less deep, if you will. We'd had Wraith wards all weekend long, blue wards all weekend long, and now it's kind of just the surface wards.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit strange against Team Summon because it's just the Renekton who could potentially stun someone as far as the actual catch potential that Team Summon would be able to throw down, but Dignitas doesn't have the... Dignitas would actually have a lot of level 1 power if they decided to do a 5-man invade, but they're probably taking their momentum, trying to play smart, and maybe not do anything foolish here.
Oh, dear.
But speaking of foolish...
This could be foolish.
This could be foolish.
This could be bad. They are waiting right now.
Don't be foolish.
The other side of the wall. Cutie Pie, don't do it. No, he goes in. It's going to be Cutie Pie. So hit up. The grasping roots hit. The cleanse is also down. And so is Cutie Pie for first blood to Captain Korea.
That is the start that Team Summon really needed on this one. The delayed invade from Dignitas. They wanted to be able to pull it off, but the early ward really caught Dignitas by surprise when they got seen up in the river there, and it was a brilliant wait for the blue buff invade that they saw coming. I mean, we even talked about it before the first game, Riv, that a lot of these teams were going for blue buff wards and were waiting for a team to come up with an answer and just wait there to kill them. That's what Team Summon did.
So that momentum is to Captain Korea. That's a huge focus for him because in the overall big picture of things, the AD carries are still even. That kill didn't even get an assist for Otter.
They're even... because I'm a Cutie Pie didn't have to burn his flash, so he's just got the cleanse. And the exhaust on Locust was actually burned. But that doesn't matter because they're doing 2v1 lanes anyway, so it really is mainly about the mid lane matchup for now.
We'll see what they do. They're going to start pressuring Grim Samurai. I know Cutie Pie is not having fun with what just happened, so he is going to be super aggressive in that lane, and even Patoy just throwing the auto attacks at Grim. He's not going to get this first wave.
For 2v1 lanes, that's actually the best auto-attacking lane you can have. Caitlyn's 650 range, and Zyra's 575, which is the longest range amongst popularly known supports. So that's a lot of harass they're going to be able to put down on Grim Samurai.
How about a lane Nocturne just kind of waltzing in?
What up, guys? I'm going to take a few minion kills, get level 4 sooner, and this is Crumb style. Dignitas is one of the most likely teams to be happy giving farm to Crumbs and let him become a bit of a carry. They're trying to get as much damage down on this turret early as possible.
So he comes out with the third siege wave. He hits that up, making sure to get the extra experience from it as well, and they start to hit some damage on this turret. The Wither goes down to Cutie Pie. They try to back them off, and they get a little bit of AoE before they head out.
And it was good for Dignitas that the siege creep actually died before Sicko Scott or Grim Samurai got even in XP range. Just a little tiny edge that Dignitas gains from that.
Captain Korea, again, it's just throwing down the Qs in middle, trying to get that lane pushed, his CS up, get that tier, most likely back in his inventory. He really had the build going well last time, but he went, like you said, he was going to go for the Rabadons and get a burst, but he went for Zonias, and he wasn't getting in the fight, so maybe he'll switch it up.
We'll see. It really depends on how far ahead he thinks he is in these games or how much he wants to sit in a team fight at the end. but look at how
That's
much
some pain.
harass Kiwi Kid is taking. Both these turrets falling pretty quickly. It's interesting that it's a 3v2 in top and a 2v1 in the bottom. I feel like the 3v2 is actually worse for Dignitas, as Kiwi Kid might lose his turret sooner.
Samurai taking a bit of damage there as he goes back and forth, and if they're able to put down damage onto Dignitas here, and they're still pretty safe on the turret, so they stay. They soak up the XP. This one could be dropping here. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. One shot from Otter. We have our first turret of game 2.
First blood, first turret, and first jungler to level 4, I believe, as well, because when you're jungling as Nasus is in the top lane and sharing with only one person compared to Crumb sharing with 2 people, he's not leveling this quickly. Dignitas really wants to be able to make something happen here because they are continually being aggressive.
They have such good wave clear, though. There's no minions when they decide to go in. No, they put the plants down to start taking the damage. They have a few caster minions there. They get the kill onto Sicko.
Beautiful play by Dignitas right there. Crumb's landing all the damage and having the confidence to flash out right after a kill. As a team, Team Summon didn't expect the melee to be the one tower diving straight away. They would have expected Putoy or AmaCutiePie to draw turret aggro first. That's one of the reasons they got caught by surprise there, and why Sicko Scott fell.
So a little sigh of relief as the gold exactly even with that. We got ones across the board for turrets and kills at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Dignitas goes to kind of reset here, and we'll probably see the ADs switch. They may even go mid to answer Team Summon.
I think they have to. If they didn't go mid, losing that middle turret would happen pretty quickly because Ryze does not wave clear well. That's one of his weaknesses in lane as a champion. So that's what Dignitas is doing straight away. They're just sending people down mid.
And it's only going to be Crumbs right now. He can't get that Dustbringer clear down, but they're still going to get a few shots. They get it down to half HP. I'm pretty sure there's no damage on that turret on the other side. No, there's not.
And there's been no way Scar's been able to get that wave to the turret against someone like Karthus, especially when Captain Korea picked up the first blood. So a lot of jostling around by these guys, and despite the first blood happening in the jungle, Dignitas has pretty much recovered from that, as the turrets are even, the gold is pretty much even, the lanes seem to be settling down a little bit.
We'll look around at the inventories here. The Scepter being picked up by Otter along with the first tier boots, and CutiePie switching it up this time and going full boots instead of full damage.
Keeping him on his toes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he needs boots.
More than you think.
Sometimes he just walks around barefoot. I think he wears socks in the studio, though, and no shoes, so we haven't seen the tier 1 boots that frequently.
It's better than the paper bags that Kobe was talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want paper bag shoes.
Don't want to walk around with that guy.
Nope. I would. Look good in your shoes. 7 minutes in. It's a little bit of gold in favor of no one, and they're pushing pretty hard in every lane here. It is going to be CutiePie and Putoy trying to throw down the siege minion wave. That's going to be the one they back on most likely. And we see a little Wraith steal, or is that just a word coming in from Captain Korea towards the top side?
That is a
I don't think he got
good
the
question.
Nope.
I don't think he was getting those raised. But AmaCutiePie and Putoy now finally in the 2v2 lane. Let's see if AmaCutiePie gets caught in that harass cycle again. If Nasus comes in for a wither. He's got to be very careful not to do that too many times. He overused it last game and actually got punished by it. So if Dignitas is going to be pushing up this far in the lane, AmaCutiePie has to make sure he saves his 90 caliber net.
They're getting good CS down, keeping it even for the AD carry. So, like we said from before, that kill onto CutiePie didn't really matter, and there's no real difference of a buy between them except for that Scepter. So right now they are just hitting it back and forth, using the supports as much as possible. And I always say the supports doing a good job in that lane.
A lot of times supports are the real members of those AD carry lanes.
Yeah.
AD carries, their job is to hit minions. Support's job is to do everything else, which actually a lot of
times.
times.
For you, I am your eyes. You just right click.
It's one of the reasons Lemon Nation, who qualified yesterday on Quantic, has been so good at breeding top 80 carries, because he just teaches a lot of the mechanics of that lane and just creates for them. But in this one, Putoy, known by many as like the top support in the LCS before the All-Star voting happened, and just by some of the player votes. And Zyra is definitely one of his mains. You don't see much support Zyra anymore either, so Putoy's very good at getting catches and team fighting with Zyra, as well as getting behind the lane.
So back up to this top lane. It's been quite a slow game for pretty much everyone right now. Just ones across the board. There's some fast gameplay coming in. Grim Samurai getting hit up. He is waiting here. He throws the ultimate down. The Slice and Dice does get some damage in, so he's able to activate the second one. Looks like he gets out pretty safe on this one. That's forced to flash. The Dustbringer, however, carrying Crumbs along with the movement speed. They get the terror down. Can they get it? The damage coming in. The taunt was there, but over if the gap closed, will they get it? He flashed in as well from Shen. He did use the flash taunt. They got that kill. Looks like Team Summon to pick up Dragon.
So we'll see if that kill was actually worth it. It was a brilliant chase by Dignitas, and I didn't think they'd be able to close for that kill until they just kept on going and used the speed of Nocturne. But it gave up the Dragon for a kill. And if you actually just look at the gold, that's about 450 versus the 975. Advantage Team Summon, man.
We can't blame them for tunneling in on it.
No.
Like you said, it was a great kill, but Team Summon on their game, they're saying, let's use this to our advantage. We're going to lose one. We'll move you or make that map pressure, getting objectives in their favor. Then you have their objective guy.
Didn't have the Nessus. He was worried about the big dragon, not the small crocodile. But here we go again in the bottom lane, still farming up pretty darn even between these guys. Almost all the lanes are even as well. We have 76 to 70 in the bottom lane, showing that even though we had some lane swapping early on, kind of like last game, the start of it's pretty close.
It's going to be. These guys are just kind of watching the first few shots come down the plate until somebody makes a mistake or somebody really gets hit by that first pitch, and you just take them down. That's exactly what Grim Samurai does. Comes in from the side, finds that you're down and limping, and he crushes. And that's off of this island. We hope to find these guys come soon.
And in that top lane as well, Kiwi Kid doing a pretty good job farming up, and they're going for pretty close to identical items. I think both of those guys are actually... They're on pace to either go Sunfire Cape or Warmogs. They started with the Rejuve bead now since they're not doing Red Elixir openings anymore. And that gives them a free path towards a Warmogs if they actually want to get it. So maybe we'll see a bit of a revitalization of that item path early on in the games.
So back down to mid, 91 to 81 in CS here. Sicko Scott showing a little bit of presence once again on the siege wave. The jungler always coming out to get a little bit of extra experience and push on the lane. It looks like we have a Crumbs right below Skara.
Yeah.
They may try to get this lockdown. They're looking to go for Captain Korea. They know he's going to take quite a bit of damage. They go for Sicko Scott, though. They're going to throw down that power and desperate power from Skara. Is it going to be enough? They turn it around on him, though. That is a little bit too much damage. Sicko Scott grabbing his head mid-fight. He says, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Either way, Crumbs gets out alive.
Everybody was expecting the ninja to pop in right on Crumbs' back, but up top lane, Grim Samurai interrupted it with his Renekton stun, and that really turned the tides of that fight away from Dignitas, as it looks like it's going to cost Dig the turret.
It costs Dig it seems like every time Dig tries to go something, Team Summon has a better answer.
They're a little more ready for it this time.
Yeah.
Instead of getting surprised and getting dictated to, they're reacting and making something happen off of it. Interesting by Crumbs, he actually went with the Tank Spirit this time on jungler. So Golem Soul instead of the Lizard Soul he went last game. So a much more resilient Nocturne this time around.
And what would cause that build to happen due to the speed of the game? Because he had that Elder Lizard at 7 minutes last time. So now it's about 11 minutes here. What's the difference that he's looking at?
It's really hard to say. Okay. Last time they had the triple dive or more upfront damage when Crumbs went in, so that if he went in, he might be able to kill everyone before dying. But this time when he goes in, they have more like team fight cleanup because Ryze will take some time to get going, but they won't spike someone down at the start of the fight. So he might want to be able to stay in those late game team fights since he's still against a Karthus for longer than last game.
So he's pretty much setting himself up to be that punching bag. Dive into the fight and make it happen for his team, instead of punching the bag himself. 12 minutes in, it's 3-2. Dignitas still holds a bit of a kill lead, but the gold now to be more in favor of Team Summon. There's a taunt onto Sicko Scott. Crumbs is here. They're going to have to fight pretty hard for this one because Locust is just waiting there to heal.
And you can see again, Crumbs getting a lot more farm than the enemy jungler. 74 to 45, plus Crumbs has been able to pick up those 2 kills, so he's going to be needing to make a really big mid-game impact once again. Oh,
Skara getting caught up in the Defile. There's more than enough mana here for Captain Korea, and he walks Skara home on that one. Skara, R.I.P.
And there's a lot of action going around everywhere.
Oh, a double taunt in front of the turret. They can't get the damage on it. It's a very low Grim Samurai. They may try to engage, but Sicko Scott is huge. He has his ultimate on. A very I think I can situation here for Dignitas. Requiem is called down, and the double kill for Captain Korea.
This is the moment in the last game when the Requiem got the double kill that Dignitas pounced back on them. But I don't know if Dignitas is in position to do it this time. Their lanes are pushed back. They don't have the people rezzed. They need to make a move because, again, Team Summon looks like they might be in control. That's 5 kills on Captain Korea's Karthus.
5-0-0, as you said. He's also up a good 30 CS on Skara in middle, and you can just see him face planting himself into Skara and still coming out half health on top. That lane has pretty much been won, so it's up to the other lanes of Dignitas to really bolster up now.
And it was all after that first blood. Skara just wasn't really thinking about going up against Captain Korea. Then Captain Korea got to his items a little bit before Skara realized it was going to happen. Therefore, he outdueled Skara, then he had his Requiem up. Like, everything's been cascading for Captain Korea in just the right way for him to reach this point. And Dignitas has to take a lot of caution when thinking about where they fight, especially with Karthus in the game.
He's picked up the Archangel staff already. He's near 500 stacks on his tier to Scar's 280.
Not even close.
No,
And,
that's huge separation.
So the transforms are going to be happening at much different times for these guys. Scar might actually not even transform his tier the Goddess on Rise until really late into the game.
Because you already have that tanky build?
Because he's going for other tanky man items that he wants to be able to complete. But I think with this Dragon coming up in 30 seconds, this would be Team Summon's moment to shine. They won games 2 days ago based off Dragon fights, and Dignitas took the Dragons away from them last game. So this would be what they would probably do next.
Got about 2,300 gold that separates these teams right now. That's really the gold in the hands of Karthus. We'll see 6,700, and he's 3,000 gold above Scar in mid. So yeah, there is that gold difference. It's coming all in Captain Korea.
That is a monumental gold difference at this stage in the game. And right away, Team Summon says, this Dragon is ours.
So that
they're just taking it.
gold difference goes up a little bit more for everyone on the map. It is going to be the Sunfire Capes for the top lanes.
And with the Sunfire Capes, will Dignitas think about fighting them here? I mean, they're trying to get the turret down while Kiwi Kid is split pushing. And I think they're proceeding with the appropriate amount of caution here, knowing they don't want to deal with Karthus right now, and they need to find ways around him to get at the rest of the team or to isolate Sicko Scott and outside of team fights.
So Kiwi Kid getting his push on here. Let's see if they can isolate anybody out in this fight. It looks like Dignitas is playing very safe, knowing that Crumbs is not there. He can stand united, however, but with pressure on him, it looks like he's going to have to back off.
3,000 gold against a 5-0 Karthus, but Dignitas does have a Rise, plus a fairly decently farming Caitlyn, who, by the way, is 500 gold behind Otter. But the 80 carry matchup between Caitlyn and Varus, if you just look at the champions, would favor a Caitlyn in the late game. I think Dignitas will still be okay as long as they don't fall behind and fight Captain Korea over and over again. So they're going to have to keep their wits about them if they want to come back. And it is Team Summon's time to really force team fights right now.
They could do exactly that. I'm looking at the summoner spells. So we have Smite coming up for Sicko Scott. Baron is up, but it's a little early with the damage had in the inventories at this point in the game, so we're pretty much objective free until Dragon comes back up. But 5-0 Karthus, it's going to just be a start being able to pressure everything.
And if someone really wanted to make a power play, they definitely have a team comp that is capable of a big-time early Baron. Knowing that they actually have 3 turrets down already, if Locust, you can see he's already picked up that Oracle.
Wow.
So they're making Dignitas think about it. Karthus and Nasus could actually 2-man Baron at any point. So this puts an absurd amount of pressure on Dignitas, and it actually makes it really dangerous for I'm a Cutie Pie, who was just in the bottom lane, to even be there farming.
We'll have to see what they can do. If they go for the engage, it could be the Nocturne Shen ulti in, so they have a fighting chance for the Baron steal, but it looks like Team Summon doesn't want to give them any chance, and they throw caution to the wind.
No, Team Summon wanted to get that Baron. They'd have to be a little more sneaky about it. You can't just like walk in, clear a ward, and say, all right, guys, we're going to sneak it now. But they might just try to brute force their way up. Woohoo!
That's a flash for a chain of corruption there. Desperate power being called out by Skara. He's going to be looking go into the fight. The Terra does not catch on. It looks like Team Summon grabbing up a few of the skills out. Not too many summoners, though.
And this is the stall that Dignitas is trying to pull off. That was a very good ult and flash away by Scar because it's wasted a lot of time for Kiwi Kid to get some work done in that lane. Also because I'm a Cutie Pie had pushed the bottom lane at the same time. They have double creep waves pushing back and forth. And Dignitas is safe pretty much now with the pressure relieved.
And he's stacked his Seraphs before 20 minutes this time. 3 minutes before.
Wow. 17-minute, 30-second Seraph's Embrace is absurdly fast. You do not see Seraph's Embrace stacked that fast anywhere in the world unless a Karthus gets first blood and like buys a tier right away, kind of like Captain Korea did, but it's still very impressive.
Oh, coming in from the side. Wow, so far in, nobody can follow you, but it is going to be the Shenton. As we said, trying to win them the fight. They do have a lot of burst damage under the turret, and Kiwi is quite tanky. They get out of turret range. They're in a safe spot here, but if they disengage well, it'll be okay. They're still going for the fight. Stranglethorn goes up. The fight for Dice Grim Samurai coming in. This is not going to look good for Dignitas anymore. Here is the fight that Team Summon wanted. A few more shots on the Cutie Pie, and it's over for him. Grim Samurai chasing so hard. He gets to prison, and it's not going to be enough for them, but they still want blood.
And they are just going to continue throwing Skittles out. Captain Korea did burn his ultimate, so I think Dignitas actually gets out of this only losing 1 extra member, so they got 1 kill, but they might lose more turret pressure. Dignitas has to recover as quickly as possible.
Whoa, Grim Samurai going hard. Oh, it's going to be 1 shot, and he forces the flash out just to get the kill. Cutie Pie, however, saving his summoners. He's still in the death chamber.
I'm a Cutie Pie was trying to be a little cute with that one, keeping him back, but he did not expect Otter to have his flash after that extended of a chase. So a very big power play by Otter there, flashing in to finish off I'm a Cutie Pie. And it gives Team Summon a little bit more of an edge.
Definitely a bit more of an edge, a 3,000 gold edge, a turret in the lead, coming around to 20 minutes. Locust still holding on to that Oracle, and he is making use of it. No, maybe not.
He got a little scared
Yeah.
for a very good reason because he doesn't know exactly where everyone on Dignitas is, but still matters a lot for Team Summon. This game is getting very, very close, Riv, because that was a brute force tower dive by Dignitas where they were trying to take an edge, and they almost got out of there with what they wanted. If Grim Samurai didn't come in exactly the right moment and just execute 2 people from Team Dignitas. So even though that was a bit of a failed tower dive, it was definitely not a disaster.
Yeah, take that turret out, and that was huge for Dignitas. That is a lot of damage they would not have received. And at 20 minutes, they still look to hold strong in these fights. Being that down in gold, like we said, it's bad for Karthus, but if they can kill him off of the fight, that power is kind of lost to 5 and 0. So it's not down and out yet.
Because Captain Korea still hasn't accumulated absurd amounts of ability power yet. He's sitting at 267, which is a lot, but it's definitely not the 700 or 800 ability power Karthus you see late into the games. Doesn't have a huge amount of magic penetration yet. What Dignitas really needs to do is need to get an Aegis of the Legion going somewhere so that that Requiem doesn't just kill everybody like it nearly did in that last fight. It is a waiting game as Dignitas actually tries to outlast a Karthus, as strange as that sounds.
And we can see very much so piecing things together. Skara Catalyst, Armor, Negatron Cloak, and his tiers stacking right now. And he's already gone for the Distortion boots in his build, so putting money into that real early.
It's got Flash and Teleport.
Yeah.
You can actually take your Flash cooldown down to 3 minutes from 5 minutes if you get the Flash Mastery as well as Distortion boots, and that's what Scars went for in this game. It will add to their split pushing strategy a little bit because it means if they really wanted to, they could cycle off Stand United with Scar's teleport cooldown and have multiple split pushes to apply a more frequent amount of pressure, but they really have to get a little bit of breathing room before they can actually pull that off.
See, oh, looks like Paranoia coming out. Locust is going to be caught down in the ward clearing. Dignitas says he's clearing a lot. Let's just wait until we can find him.
That was really clever. When you're a support and you're going to check the Baron Pit, you have to know that your team is there to back you up, and Team Summon had their team in mid lane while Locust was in the Baron Pit and had left that window for Dignitas to exploit.
I don't know, although that's a tiny Sona down. The crescendo has been a very big part of the engagements here for Summon. They go into the fight. Stranglethorn pops everybody up, but they don't have too much return damage. That was just there to crowd control. There it is. Cutie Pie finally getting the shots in. Crumbs, Chain of Corruption goes down. Here's the Requiem. Probably not going to kill too many. Just Crumbs on that. Scar very low. This is where Green Samurai came in big the other time with Otter, but Otter's flash is not up like it was. It's only going to be 2 for 1 that time.
And the kill on Captain Korea actually went to I'm a Cutie Pie, which is one of the best things that could have happened for him. That was a 2 for 1 overall. No, 2 for 2 overall. But the kills happened in places where it gave Dignitas more gold. But it did count a dragon for them, so this is...
It's always the Team Summon answer.
It's a Team Summon answer once again. They had enough health from the Requiem really just crushing down many, many people on Dignitas and getting them so low, constantly on their back foot. But I have to say, this game is definitely not a reach for either team.
And it's a frustrating thing that teams can find themselves in a place where after a fight, you have low health and you can't do anything. But it's like these teams don't know how to do that. They activate as soon as the fight ends. They start moving. They start bringing something else up and opening more paths.
And it has to do with everyone getting so involved in these team fights. When you bring a composition like Shen and Nocturne, Crumbs and Kiwi Kid are going to be diving in together on almost every fight. And because they're going against a Karthus, they're just living inside of damage. So at the end of the fight, the tank line for Dignitas is going to be low because they're sitting in Karthus, and the squishies for Dignitas are also going to be low because a Requiem will have went off and hit nearly everyone, which opens the opportunity for Team Summon to always make a move after a fight unless they lost it really badly.
All right, so 23 minutes in, we've seen pretty much 2 identical fights in mid go back and forth, just coast to coast on mid sides, and then it's kind of broken up as the AD carries and Grim Samurai, Sickle Scott come back in. Karthus always the first to go down, which means Dignitas has had good focus in the fights. They're going for what they need to, but the disperse after that is they're kind of chaotic at that point.
And it's just a matter of Scar not having the big-time machine gun damage yet, I think, because he's not able to finish off the tanks when they're nearing the end of the fights. And right now, Dignitas is actually trying to do the triple push thing because they have a stand united threat plus a teleport threat. But they have to do this very carefully because Team Summon can kill that Baron in about 10 seconds if they pop everything. So they got to be very, very careful with where they go.
See where Dignitas is placing wards here. I think Kiwi put one towards the top side for Scar. Yes, he did, because they are all getting cleared out in the base. We'll see what they have to do. They have that pink ward down still, so they're okay on that side. Or Team Summon has that pink ward down, so they're okay on Baron. They start to back off, and that's one thing we saw Team Summon doing very well is Grim and Kiwi Kid go head-to-head here for a little back-and-forth fight, is that they continuously ward, whether it has to be 7 in your jungle or 8 or 9 in your jungle. They're always there.
At least when they're ahead, they're able to keep control of where the wards are, and that's why Dignitas shut them down so well in the first game, because Dignitas was actually pink warding everywhere Team Summon wanted to put the defensive wards, and that just hasn't been able to happen for Dignitas in this one.
Locust going back, he's saying, I need wards or an Oracle, guys. We need to get something more in here, so we'll see what he gets bought up. Phantom Dancer finished up. Yes, the Oracle is purchased onto Locust. They were kind of running around in mid saying, we have nowhere to go because we're just up and down the path, the beaten path, so they're going to get this vision in.
And how do you end games is the story that every lower team in the LCS had this year, and it's the constant question for challenger teams and teams looking to find their way. At this point for Team Summon, they've been trying to figure out how to end the game, or how to move their advantage on for about the last 10 minutes, as Dignitas has actually been the ones taking it to them. So right now, Team Summon actually isn't doing anything proactively to end the game. They keep running back and forth to Baron, but it's not giving them any benefit. They're not stopping Scar from running to that bottom lane over and over again and farming up. They're not stopping Kiwi Kid from using his stand united. They're getting dictated to despite having a lead. And we'll see if it works out for them just based on their team comp or not.
And the way they can just poke down here with Qs from Nocturne and Cutie Pie was winning a 2v1 in the middle. Putoy wasn't even really there to assist, like you said. We got Scar pushing bottom with that teleport. We'll have to see if they can use that Shen Nocturne combo. The ultimate up again for Shen. It's been down for about the past 40 seconds. So on either side of the map, we actually do see Crumbs waiting in the wing here.
Crumbs really needs to get about 700 more gold so he can pick up an Aegis of the Legion for the next fight. Until then, Dignitas should probably do their best to just keep Team Summon at bay. But look how the map has actually transformed over the past 2 minutes or so. It was just a second ago, Team Summon in front of Dignitas' base. Now it's Dignitas pushing all the turrets and Team Summon regrouping.
And I love how Crumbs is positioning himself here. He's like, I can go to Skara, I can go back to mid. He's going to choose to go back to mid. He was waiting in that bush for quite some time. Skara's going to keep pressuring bottom though, so this is something in the back of Summon's head now.
They have to realize that Skara's got that teleport up, and he can use it with almost no threat.
Oh,
but this would be a very fast Baron. Kiwi come up back. They're going for it. Dignitas does not have vision. That Baron goes down in 10 seconds.
They are going to try to lock this down. We see Skara is actually backing now. He's not going to be able to do it for his team. They aren't able to grab the Baron. It goes to Summon, and it's going to be a big fight. They start diving in. Kiwi Kid's forced to gap out, and it's Crumbs going down. A huge pickup there for Team Summon.
You play with them for long enough, and they have the fastest Baroning team pretty much in the world. They couldn't make it in time. Dignitas tried to go in for a steal, didn't get it, did get a 1-for-1, but the Baron is now on 4 people of Team Summon. Scar, sure, you got a tower, but you have to deal with this push from Summon now.
If they can stop this turret from going down, the bleeding won't be as bad, but at 27 minutes in, they are pressuring that gold lead, and it does not look like they're going to give up on the inhibitor turret. Kiwi Kid is there. Chain of Corruption goes out. They want the turret and kills. Defile going on for Captain Korea. They pop that off, start backing out of the fight, playing a little bit safer, but they get the turret, and it's just long-range attacks from Dignitas as they try to fend off their base.
Turret is the calls coming out from Team Summon. They're getting the inhibitor as well. They got the pick on Cutie Pie, and they didn't want to overdive that, so they were able to get that inhibitor down. That is a huge play.
Smiles on the faces of Team Summon right now. Sicko Scott talking to his team. Guys, great job. The inhibitor was ours. We'll do it a few more times, and we'll be into Game 3.
One of the biggest steps in finishing a game is getting that first inhibitor down, as well as having the Baron.
Cracking open the egg.
Because a lot of times, even when you go to push an inhibitor, you're vulnerable to like a counter Baron, but because Team Summon got the Baron into an inhibitor, it's like all the threats are gone. The pressure is off them for a little while now. They get to go back and buy a bunch of goodies from the shop and then try to get more inhibitors, because there's a lot of vulnerable turrets for Dignitas, and that's probably going to be Summon's next move.
So the catalyst on that really was Kiwi Kid backing.
A lot of it had to do with Kiwi Kid losing his position, and also the fact that Dignitas almost got lulled to sleep by Team Summon's inactivity. You're just like, guys, they can kill Baron in about 7 seconds. They're not going to do it, though. Let's just go split push.
Nah.
Scar, I'm going to get this turret, guys. Ryze is, by the way, the slowest turret pusher in the game because you either do damage to turrets based on your attack damage or 60% of your ability power. And Ryze builds mana items, so he doesn't get to hit turrets very hard. It's like, sure, he has the teleport for the threat, but his split pushing is not threatening from a pushing perspective.
Well, this looks quite threatening, actually, as Summon moves 3 to the bottom lane. 4, 5 is... Looks like Locust a little slow on that one. He's coming up from the backside. Has another Oracle in his pocket. Still that boots 1 as he went for Shirelia, so really going for that hardcore supporty role and getting Summon into the engagements even more.
And Summon, knowing that I'm a Cutie Pie, was up in the top lane, face tanks this turret a little bit. Locust is going to heal Sicko Scott up, as well as the increased health regeneration from the Baron buff. And they might look to dive shortly because they're going to be getting a lot of damage down on this turret. Maybe Dignitas will have to invade now the wall's down.
Everything is up here for Team Summon. They are going to hit that Stranglethorn, goes down. It pops up a good amount of the team. Zoni stopped by Captain Korea. He gets to the file right in the middle. There goes the Paranoia from Nocturne. They start shredding down the team. Captain Korea's down as the Requiem comes out. Isn't enough to drop Dignitas. They can't even hold their base here. Game 2 looks to be going in favor of Summon so far, but it's 30 minutes in and Dignitas will have the chance to take another breath.
2 inhibitors now down. That was a wall of damage that walked through Dignitas and just physically pushed them back into the base and let the inhibitor be taken from Team Summon. It's just the combo of just damage that comes out from Team Summon when they pushed into this base. So much resiliency from the Baron buff as well for them, and that was just brute forcing down an inhibitor. Dignitas did not have an answer, and they didn't die, so it was a smart move for them to give it up, but does not look good in the long run for Dignitas.
Well, they're trying to repair what just happened a little bit. I think that Baron finally worn off. Has
No.
it? No.
Still got a bit,
Yep,
actually.
Still
That
just a bit. We're looking at probably about 20 seconds on that, but they've used it. It was completely an advantage rolled forward. More momentum to them. Otter picking up the red buff, so they're getting ready to engage in the next fight. We see the Void Staff being brought out by Captain Korea. It's something he was not able to reach last time, and you can see he's having quite a better game this time.
way more money, way more items.
Way more.
Real happy about this one. And I mean, the Zani's Hourglass is a choice for Karthus, whether he goes for a Death Cap or the Zani's Hourglass. And with the way he flashed into that last fight, it worked for them because it just helped them zone out Dignitas's positioning within the team fight. And he's still reached a fantastical ability power number in this game, 474 AP without even the Rabadon's Death Cap. Team Summon in a total power position right now.
That is quite fantastical, Jet.
I love that word.
It's great. It's fantastical. 7-4 in turrets here as Summon looks to grab game 2. They continue to push the lanes and kind of give Dignitas a little bit of their own medicine. They're keeping a little bit more group than Dignitas would in a 3-lane push, but they're not letting Dig have any advantage in any lane. It's all past the river.
Not in the slightest, and they're not really letting Dignitas hit the big items they want. I'm a Cutie Pie has all offensive items, but if we look at how the team fights have been happening, he's dying. So what I'm a Cutie Pie really needs is a defensive item, but he can't because he needs the offense to kill the huge tank line that's coming at him. It's just the Golden Island. He's not able to get exactly what he wants. This is a very difficult lane or turret for Dignitas to actually hold that.
Oh, going in hard on Ascara, so they're forced to back off. The Chain of Corruption just locking him down, but they can't get any damage on the turret, so it's kind of just a show of skill.
And Dignitas will probably have to give this one up unless they fight straight on this turret, because without the Nocturne ult to help them initiate, that is not the way you win fights.
Waiting for the wave. It's quite close. You can see they're forced back to the base, chat. 2 inhibitors down, double the minions rushing into your base, and they have another wave shortly entering.
And even if they leave these super minions, they're probably going to lose their Nexus turrets as well, so Team Summon will do well to do as much damage to this turret as possible. Dignitas really has to force themselves into a fight, but without a Nocturne ultimate, it becomes ever more difficult.
If not a Nocturne ultimate, what do they look for next? What's step 2?
It's a taunt from Kiwi Kid, but then he can't taunt the people he wants. He wants to taunt Otter here because Otter's actually doing a whole bunch of damage, and they need to be able to work around Captain Korea, but Team Summon's just grouping up.
They taunted onto Kiwi Kid. They lock him down. They're going to take down the Shen tank first. He tried to even ultimate onto Cutie Pie. He gives him the shield. It's not going to be enough, though. Now they dive back onto Cutie Pie. Grim Samurai instantly stunning him with that Fury, and it looks like they are going to have to back off. This is where the turrets help Dignitas. They played it well, but they lose the inhibitor. So it's kind of a here nor there, and it's going to look real bad in a second for them.
That Requiem could have ended the game if Scar and Cutie Pie didn't get back to the home base soon enough to be able to get healed up by the fountain. That's the word I was looking for. But they still refreshed the inhibitor kill there. Dignitas will not have much room to breathe, and there is definitely a Team Summon going back to base now, knowing they can go back for the Baron and maybe lock this one up then.
It's got to be in Dignitas's head now. They must be a bit flustered. Your tank is getting initiated on for the first part of the fight, and you can't really pull anything out. Lost the inhibitor there. It's all just hanging by a thread now for Dignitas in this game too.
There is not very many avenues for Dignitas to win this one. I think they're going to try to shove out their base as fast as possible so they could maybe fight at the Baron and get kind of a miracle steal into Skara teleporting into some weird angle and getting some damage down on the Captain Korea or Otter. But with the control that's coming up from Team Summon, it looks like they're going to be able to pick up this Baron so fast that Dignitas can't get there. 34
minutes in, we see that bulwark finally being picked up, but it's going to be about 10 minutes too late with the damage that Captain Korea has been putting out. A Baron too late. We'll see if it helps at least stop the next Nexus engagement. We see Team Summon just pushing through. They're really just taunting this Baron attempt.
They're actually maybe hoping that Dignitas fights them in the jungle, because in a straight-up fight, Team Summon knows they have this one. And if they make Dignitas back up, then they just get to go and take the Baron.
So seeing this build coming in, obviously you don't see the Infinity Edge too much on Varus since the burst damage, since the shred that he does. The Frozen Mallet, synergizing with the team more.
Yeah, it's just a defensive item. A lot of people love building either a Randwinds or a Warmogs or a Frozen Mallet. It's the hybrid between a defensive and offensive item on an AD carry. And Otter just has it in this one because they have the damage. It's just a matter of being able to chase people down.
You can see that build. Confidence in the team as well, as he doesn't even try to go defensive. And Cutie Pie more forced into that role, as you said before. He is just looking to put out damage for his team. Getting slowed there, the chain eruption right onto Cutie Pie. Doesn't have the cleanse, their summoners are still down. Grim Samurai has his body on everyone right now. Kiwi Kid is gonna go down in the fight. He will fall to the last hit there. Grim Samurai picking up the double kill. There will be 2 down. Picking up, no, not the triple kill. It goes to Otter that time. Skara finds the fountain. Patoy finds the Nexus turrets as they start hugging for safety. And Patoy is out of mana. It looks like he may go down as well. The Nexus, or the inhibitor falls down. They're looking on the Nexus turrets.
And that is a whole bunch of threat down for Dignitas. Skara and Patoy have to make a last stand.
That's a good bit of damage there. They could deter this. They don't have the wave. They're going to get another one out of the Nexus in 10 seconds, which is going to help to stop these super minions as well. Dignitas holds on for now.
I feel like Team Summon is playing this one pretty safe. They're wanting to make sure they have all of the inhibitors to get that last hit. Grim Samurai gets it and backs away, and this is a lot of pain coming in for Dignitas right about now.
So we take a look at what of the builds has happened here. 36 minutes into the game, a bit longer than our last matchup. As we said, that Void Staff finished up over on Captain Korea, so those Requiems really poking through now as they pick up another Dragon. Sarah's Embrace also going in for Skara's side, but he can't really build the rest of the core items that you usually see after those two on Rise. The money's not there.
The money just hasn't been there, even though he's at 340 minion kills, as you say. He's 12.6k gold to a 15,000 gold Captain Korea, who's working on that death cap, which will just explode his ability power.
Right.
There is a very slim chance that Dignitas can come back in this one, but there are a few conditions that they're potentially meeting here. A lot of times when you're down, like all your Nexus turrets or something, the only way you can come back is if the gold is still a little bit close, and if you have some late game champions, which with Rise and Caitlyn, they do.
Yeah.
But there's probably way too much going on for the rest of Team Summon. Just the fact that Captain Korea got so farmed, and the fact that they're also dealing with a very farmed Otter AD carry as well. So I'd give this about a 5% chance for Dignitas comeback, but this is definitely more likely than usual when you're down 3 inhibitors.
Well, they're definitely going for the kind of we want the now comeback, not the let's slow do it, right? We got the Twin Shadows coming out on Patoy now. He wants damage. We already said that Cutie Pie hasn't built defense, so it's just damage there, and an ability tome just picked up by Patoy for a little bit extra damage.
They're trying to get that last little for this fight because they know even though Team Summon didn't bother picking up this Baron, Team Summon taking it slowly, but now just going aggressive. They got thousands and thousands of health of super minion health coming in here. It's going to be a chore if Dignitas wants to hold this out.
There are 4 super minions right there on the fight. Kiwi Kid dives in. There is the Paranoia. Crumbs is also on as the crescendo goes back across. 4 guys take a ride into the air, but they hit the ground running, and they head for Dignitas still. Sicko Scott in the front. Like you said, Jad, if they can get a good fight in, they may be able to push them out on this one. We see a few running out of the base. Skara taking some damage now. Twin Shadows comes out as they try to thwart off this attack. The Nexus turret finally goes down. It's Sicko Scott and Grim Samurai, but I don't know if there's enough Wait, the Requiem is still coming out. Scara gets on. Oh, a piercing arrow onto the fountain. We're going to game 3 here with 1-1 for each team.
Team Summon got a little bit low in that last fight. You can say they're a bit relieved. Not the cleanest, crispest ending, but we moved it 1-1. And
celebrate your passion.
It's a series. They just turned this best of 5 into a best of 3.
Absolutely. This is going to be an amazing matchup once again. Smiles on the face of Summon, and you can see how much more it means to them. We actually almost saw this with Complexity yesterday during the games. They would win. They're so much more composed, and that's how Dignitas won. These guys coming out of the Challenger League, they won, and they feel their future coming closer and closer.
A lot of it has to do with having nothing to lose versus having a lot to lose as far as these guys
That's
are concerned.
so true.
Dignitas has to make sure they don't play not to lose, but instead play to win, and they take the action to Team Summon in the next game.
That's exactly what they did, forcing Barons, which we have seen the bane of some teams and really the loss. And Dignitas is really one to capitalize on any of your mistakes. They didn't let Dignitas find those mistakes because they really didn't make any that game. So coming up, now that a Killer Karthus and Team Summon have evened the series at 1 win apiece, Dignitas will be looking for revenge when they jump back onto the Rift for Game 3. Plus, Curse's Void Boy returns to break down Team Summon's win. Stick around.